Please. Good morning, good afternoon, good night with all. My name is Walter Abanto, and this is my research project for this course. It's called How the Book called Compendio de Derecho Público Interno y Externo Established a Good Understanding with Brazil and the Hispanic South American countries in the 19th century after their independence. First, we want to explain who is the author of this book. The author of this book is Silvestre Pinheiro Ferreira. Was a famous author in Brazil, but he born in Lisboa in 1769. He studied in a seminary, but we have little information about this author, but we know that he abandoned the studies in the seminary. But remember something important. In the seminary, they teach you law. Why? Because the priests need to know the human law and the God's law. So they have to make that difference. So this knowledge is important, and the king ordered to him to serve in his court. He was assigned to work with him in 1810. And remember something important in these years. Portugal was fighting against Napoleon for the independence for this country. Remember that Portugal was invaded for France in 1807. So in 1810, independence war started in Portugal, and the king called Pinheiro to serve in his court in Brazil. Before to travel to Brazil, Pinheiro was professor in the University of Coimbra. So Pinheiro was important in Brazil because was important in Brazil because he understands how the Constitution in 1824 was created. He made commentaries. He have a book about this. You can see the book, the name of the book in Portuguese. And this is important because he was a legislator, and also he was partidary of the separation of the Kingdom of Brazil and the Kingdom of Portugal. And he wants a peaceful region. We can find this book that he wants a peaceful place in Latin America. The Kingdom of Brazil have a peaceful relations with their neighborhoods. So Pinheiro understand the creation of this constitution in 1824, and yes, the majority of his books was wrote in French. So, but something important happened in these years. The majority of his work is lost. We don't know why, we don't know how, but the majority of his work disappeared, especially in Latin America. We have some books of them because Harvard University saved them, and other books was, the book that we work was translated to Spanish by Bartolomé Herrera. Okay, we want to talk about the book that was worked in this for this course. We worked this book called Compendio de Derecho Público Interno y Externo, was written in 1838, and the book has importance because was created when the new Hispanic Latin American states declared their independence, and these states didn't have the recognition as states, and the European powers didn't want to recognize that. So if remember something important in history is that any European power recognized by a treaty or by a declaration that we are independent. We were recognized as states only for commercial treaties. This is an important point that we need to know. For that reason, the book of Pinheiro, it's important to understand how the Kingdom of Brazil was thinking about us. Because remember, we were republics. The majority of the Latin American, Hispanic Latin American states in America became republics, not kingdoms. They were different, and they had a menace to get invaded for the kingdoms. So knowing how Pinheiro was thinking, and also what is the position of the Kingdom of Brazil, who was the big country in South America, the majority of Hispanic Latin American republics have come down and started to talk with this new kingdom in peaceful ways. As we mentioned in this presentation, we mentioned in the last point that Piñeiro was important to understand the cohesion between South American states. And yes, this point it's important because we don't have a lot of wars, especially Peru or Bolivia, don't have wars against Brazil, but Brazil having wars against Argentina and against Paraguay. But something important here, in the war against Paraguay, Brazil didn't take the territory of Paraguay. They respected the independence of Paraguay. They took some part of Paraguay, yes, but the Paraguay country didn't disappear like Poland did. So this is an important way how the Piñeiro and also the Brazil action in South America was important to have this idea of cooperation and don't have it differences with authors. Piñeiro don't have a contradiction with the Peruvian author Silvio Santisteban. Piñeiro doesn't have it counterpoints with Andrés Bello in Chile. And also Piñeiro doesn't have differences with Carlos Calvo. So the idea of respect the territories of the states and also don't disappear like Poland disappeared in Europe was important to create a peaceful region. We have wars, yes, but the countries that was created after the independence exist today. So Piñeiro have a legacy. Piñeiro, it's important because you have a legacy, and the author who rescued his thinking was Alejandro Alvarez. Alejandro Alvarez was the most important Latin American author in Europe in the 20th century. Alejandro Alvarez talks about that all the authors in Latin America have the idea that we have to cooperate each other. And Piñeiro was part of this movement. Also, all the authors in Latin America and also the states after the war that they have it in Latin America condemned the war. And they after the war in the Triple Alliance, Paraguay versus Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay, and also after the war between Peru and Chile, we try to solve our problems, all the problems, in peaceful ways. So these authors and also our old diplomacy in the 19th century, it's important to understand this development of the peaceful resolution of disputes. Something important that I've forgotten is that the book of Piñeiro was translated for Bartolomé Herrera in 1848, who was an important politician in Peru. And Bartolomé Herrera used the ideas of Piñeiro to sustain that Peru is an independent country. So thank you for all. This is my exposition. And thank you, Professor Joro. I hope that you get better in these days. Thank you very much.